CBS just dropped a brand new 2026 NFL mock draft, so I am here to review it. Let's get right into this. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Ryan Wilson wrote this, who is kind of like one of their lead analysts, so I wanted to make sure that we ended up reviewing it. Apologies about the late upload. I was hoping that we could have gotten a sponsor approval for this episode, but unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait until tomorrow for that, so you guys get to see another ad tomorrow. Today, it is only just you and me. Below my face is my board. It is all the players that I grade in all 22. This is 99% from 2024, or yes, 2024 tape, not as of week number 1 because we want to see some consistency. But there's a player that I did not include in here that is going to be mentioned probably in this episode. So I'm excited to be able to give you guys a new player that you guys will be getting very familiar with on my board that you guys will be seeing in the top 20. Someone who I very, very much like. But with the number 1 overall pick, we have Garrett Nussmeier. And he's going to the Saints. I mean, again, I've been just pretty much copy pasting this for a while. I've heard some Tony Romo comps. Honestly, not that bad of a comp. So I could end up seeing that. And so, I'm not the highest guy on Nuss. I do think that his precision was a lot more consistent. And I think he definitely struggled early on, but ended up showing some good resiliency as the game went on. And second half Nuss was really, really good. So I'm hoping to see more consistency. The NFL is not a game where inconsistent quarterbacks succeed. So we want to see the consistency part because no one ever questioned the high ceiling ability. It really was like, how often are we going to be getting that? But let's continue on. Again, if you guys do like my analysis, I try my best. I mean, I'm fully transparent the 100% of the time. And, it sometimes come back to bite me, which we're about to rip Ryan Wilson a new one right here, but that's okay. I'm always going to be completely honest, even if it comes to bite me in the ass. For me, it's a learning opportunity if I fail. One of those positions that I just randomly am very contrarian on is the edge position. And it's come back to bite me maybe a couple times in the ass, but every time trying to learn from the mistakes and stuff. And I love that you guys are joining me in that journey. If you guys do want to see all of my analysis, and I have some videos out there on the YouTube channel with the position breakdowns, but I have every single player at those positions broken down over on my Patreon. Go and support me over there. It's $5 a month. You get those extended versions, as well as access to all 300 guys on my board and every single guy who I have graded. So it's a cool way, especially for certain players like Malachi Lawrence that you don't actually get to see, that were like post video guys. Super duper crucial for you guys if you really want to understand where I'm coming from. It's $5 a month. I do appreciate the fact that we've had such a strong community there so early, and I appreciate everything you guys do. But number 2, let's rip a new one for Ryan Wilson here. Browns go Caden Proctor, tackle of Alabama. I'm going to say, obviously, shitty week 1. First off, don't understand why he would select him. This is not necessarily new. This is, this is this week. So can't really say that this is going to be like, oh, you didn't know. Like, oh, we know. Caden Proctor struggled versus Florida State versus freshman. Now, I do think that, I ended up making a funny meme saying like he was ass. I do think that Caden Proctor is nowhere near ready for the NFL. But there were some reps in there that I do think were actually promising. And if you're looking at someone to develop, absolutely your guy. That's not what you take at number 2. What you take at number 2 is going to be a stalwart tackle that's going to be there for 20 plus, or not 20 years. I mean, you'd wish, right? I mean, it'd be great to have the longevity into the 40s, but realistically, 15 years, you're hoping from a number 2 overall pick at left tackle. And Caden Proctor, I think where he's at right now is projecting really strongly for a 2027 draft, which stands pretty firmly with what I felt like initially when watching him. I thought there was a lot for him to grow and learn, and he just didn't feel 1 year away. Felt like he was 2 years. And I think that's going to be the case. But, again, I don't think that he was as garbage as the statistics say. There were some actually good blocking reps in there. And once again, just like the quarterback position, a lot about consistency. The problem is the quarterback doesn't actually have a defender straight up in his face 24/7 to where you get to see the inconsistencies. The tackles, you get to see it pretty quickly. So Caden Proctor, obviously a huge reach at number 2. Number 3, you have Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana, going to the New York Jets. Fernando right now is my QB 2. Sucks to see that Arch Manning did not continue his progression that he showed last year. And, for me, I ended up actually, he's the one player so far that I've graded from pure 2025 tape as well. And he's taken a big hit overall. Again, I've watched the games, but when talking about sitting down and watching the actual tape, I usually like to see guys get a couple weeks in because there's always those players who need to get a little bit of rust off. And, for Arch, it was a huge telltale sign because it was by far his biggest game. And of course, you continue reevaluating these players as the weeks go on. But um, I digress. Fernando Mendoza, my QB2 right now. And I really do like him. Good movement skills, good big playability. Should have had way more passing yards and another touchdown on a huge dropped and big post route. And I'm like, oh, it breaks my heart when you see something that is a clear touchdown get dropped, and it happens. Like Julio Jones has dropped an open touchdown pass. Are we calling Julio Jones chopped? No, he is one of the greatest wide receivers that we've ever seen. So people make mistakes. Fernando Mendoza wasn't necessarily super clean, but again, first year in a new system. For me, I'm going to give him some credit because he still showed some excellence. Now we need to see the consistency, right? He's going to a new organization. Let's see how it does. But if he ends up continuing to get comfortable in showing that he is much more the big play person and be a bit more consistent, number 3 is not out of the realm. He's 6'5", 225. Number 4, we have Spencer Fano, right tackle out of Utah, going to the New York Giants. This is a pick that I have made several times. I even traded back with the Giants when they were given the number 1 pick on PFF's mock draft simulator to end up selecting Spencer Fano. Huge fan of him. Wow. He's their number 2 rated prospect. Holy shit. All right. Well, I guess I'm the one who's the hater at this point. He's my number 4. That's crazy. Honestly, good job on CBS for doing that. You won't hear me say that very often. But at number 5, we have Peter Woods going to the Titans. And this is 100% a best player available situation. Peter Woods is a damn good player. I mean, he is feisty. He did not show up in terms of the stat sheet. Apparently, I mean, he has 75 receptions for 1,100 yards. That's crazy. I mean, obviously, that's a typo. I mean, of all people, I can't talk shit. I literally had Arch Manning at 5'9" in my most recent video, so let's not get too much on him. But I will say, the player I would go with here personally would be Jordan Tyson. Like, I do think that Tyson's a clear wide receiver 1, and this is a team that is definitely looking for that wide receiver 1. Defensive interior is one of the few positions I don't feel necessarily super needy to go for the Titans. But I understand Peter Woods didn't show up on the stat sheet, but still made some really big plays against one of my favorite guards in the whole country, Josh Thompson out of LSU, formerly of Northwestern. At number 6, we have Keldrick Falk, defensive interior / edge rusher out of Auburn. We'll see how he ends up continuing to evolve his play. He played both. I hate when guys are tweeners because I have DeMarvin Leal like PTSD, and I just want Keldrick to lose a little bit, get back to that 270 mark that we were talking about. I need to see what his exact measurements are. So that's on me for not knowing that off the top of my head. I know it's the 270 range according to the public information, but I've been able to take a peek at some like actual registered official numbers, and I'm hoping Keldrick Falk is that 270 range, can play the edge rusher. But that being said, he is listed right now here as a D tackle. And first off, I don't think he's a D tackle, as I was just mentioning. Second off, even if he is, it's like Christian Miller's 305 and brings every bit of juice that Keldrick does. And I love Keldrick Falk. There's just, I don't understand the move personally. I don't understand because we're talking about Nick Scorton, who should be coming back from the punctured lung. Princely Umami Allen looks really solid. Number 6 overall, you're talking about someone who's going to be a franchise guy, and then talking about the defensive tackle position. Like Tershawn Wharton has that like sub 300 frame. I'd prefer to go after someone like Christian Miller, who's still kind of that perfect in between if you're going to go D tackle, which I would not do. I would have went Caleb Downs, who goes at number 7, safety out of Ohio State, to the Las Vegas Raiders. Going best player available is never a bad idea. He is the number 2 player in the entire class to me. He's an elite box or nickel, and he's somebody who's just going to be consistently dominant in every single down. If he does not go in the top 5, it is just because the quarterbacks ended up being inflated. I mean, he belongs to the top 5. There is no player in this class that I think has more talent than Caleb Downs. He's been good every single year. And the only times where he is not the best on the field is when he is uncomfortable in his own skin, which is just what happens when you're young. And easily something that works out. But the moment you can tell that he's confident, relaxed, and just playing the game that he knows to play, there's not many players that could, in my memory, match his skill set. So, really excited for Caleb Downs to continue growing into his own and being more comfortable in his own skin. Number 8, we have Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson, going to the Miami Dolphins. Avion, honestly, he got mossed by Trades Green, who's a phenomenal sophomore tight end. But Avion Terrell, 5'11", 180. He is still an absolute dog. I mean, you can talk about the Jair Alexander comp for sure in terms of the high end. Yes, NFL bloodlines, AJ Terrell, but Avion is just a feisty dude. He does not play like he's 180. I don't like light corners. That's just usually not my thing. I don't like corners who are below 185 pounds. I don't even like him at 185. I want him in the 190 plus. But Avion Terrell gets a bit of an exception. I think he's a fantastic cornerback sitting there currently. Did I drop my corners by I'm realizing I think I dropped my corners by a point because I need to boost Mansour Delane's score. You guys do not get to see where Mansour is at the moment, but he's at number 20. He's boosted up to a 77, which gets him up to number 17 overall on my board. He's my cornerback 1 and maintains that. But Avion Terrell, damn good player. He's just a little bit early for me based on some of the limitations. Number 9, we have Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee, going to the New England Patriots. Don't understand this personally. I mean, the Patriots have lacking edge power or edge depth at the moment and edge starting talent, especially when you think about Caleb Von Chason being on a 1-year deal. At that point, Keon White will have 1 more year. This is 100% Ruben Bain Jr. for me. I don't think there's anything really more obvious than going after someone like Ruben Bain. If you want to shed down on the pounds, I know that I am a huge fan of Malachi Lawrence. I do not believe he will be viewed in this aspect. So it's just one of those players that I will be continuing to support on my own. Yes, I do understand that there's one coloring issue with the number 39, but I would be looking at David Bailey at this point, who is just ridiculously solid if you really want to go that route. Number 10, we have Drew Aller going to the Indianapolis Colts. Drew Aller is a damn good quarterback too, continuously improves, and someone who I want to see continue that stretch. We have not gotten to see that, obviously, because Penn State didn't really play anybody this past week. So excited to see Drew Aller end up taking that step up and be the top end quarterback we know he can be. We know the ceiling. Now let's continue raising that floor. Number 11, we have Francis CC Maui-Goa, right tackle, going to the Rams. And I think he's a guard. So I don't agree with this, but if let's just say Spencer Fano were available, which I know he's not in this situation, but an actual starting right tackle, I 100% support this for the Rams. So I understand the idea. I just don't believe on the projection for the player. At number 12, we have the Browns also going Cade Klubnik. And, Proctor and Klubnik, both guys who struggled week 1. Pretty fitting for the Browns to draft him in the first round, I guess. But Cade, somebody who definitely buckled under pressure. I don't think it was as bad as people were kind of trying to razz him for. Like, certainly not the performance that people thought, but for me, I ended up having him as his grade was a fringe starter. So, I mean, Cade's grade right now, if I were to go to it, like Aller for me is still top 50, but Cade was number 57 on my board. And yes, that's crazy, but I'm also the type that if I don't believe that you're a true starting grade, I don't give you special privileges. Like a lot of people have the quarterback inflation. I had my doubts that Cade's going to be a full-time starting quarterback. I think he's someone who could challenge for a starting job. And so that's why I'm lower on him. Not going to say I can take a victory lap, right? But at the same time, it's like, I like the progression from Cade. I had not seen it to be worth the picks that I was kind of taking him at. And it sucks because we've seen the development stagnate and stop. And I hope that's able to change soon. Number 13, we have Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State, going to Pittsburgh. Our Steelers, my Steelers, love Jordan Tyson. I mean, this guy is so freaking good. I mean, one of the best players in the entire country, in my opinion. My number 6 player on my board, and somebody who I believe can be a true 1. I think he complements DK Metcalf really well. I know wide receiver shouldn't be like the first position we target, but if you tell me that, like, rather than reaching for another quarterback, which obviously you guys see what I think of LaNorris Sellers, I would be taking that. But if LaNorris is gone and you're saying Cade Klubnik or Jordan Tyson, and I would go Jordan Tyson. That's ballsy as hell to say, but if you can promise me like that, maybe Mateer can end up being there in round number 2, or you know, maybe Will Howard has just shown enough on the team because I believe in Will Howard. I'd prefer Jordan Tyson than taking a quarterback that I'm iffy about, especially at 13. Do you want to take QB5? Do you want to take QB6 there? And yes, it matters on the class, of course, but we're having a lot of doubts already about this class. I'd rather take the guy who I think is more of a guarantee. Of course, that would be LaNorris Sellers. But Jordan Tyson, I do think he gets a little bit too much crap when he's put to the Steelers based on another mock draft I did that had pretty negative reviews on that. Not on my content, because I know y'all love me, but on that selection itself. Number 14, we have TJ Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson, going to the Cowboys. It adds up. I mean, you have 2 first-round picks. You got to use them. Edge rusher's got to be one of them. I prefer Ruben Bain, but TJ Parker is perfectly fine. So excited to see TJ continue to work on his football IQ. We'll leave it there. And number 15, King Ruben Bain goes to the Seattle Seahawks. I honestly think TJ Parker would have ended up going here anyways if we went Ruben Bain over for the Dallas Cowboys. So edge and edge makes a lot of sense. I mean, again, it's not the key position that people think of for the Seahawks, but it's such a good position value at this point, and it's a position that you can upgrade, and it's a position that is valuable to where it makes sense. Ruben Bain, to me, someone, coming into the year, my number 14 player, fell in love with him. Excited to see how this board ends up developing. Of course, it's going to be completely different by the end of the year, but it is something that I'm excited to see grow and develop and see how these players change how they approach the game and, see if they can project to the next level even better. Ruben Bain, I absolutely adore. 16, we have the Arizona Cardinals going Antonio Williams. Fortunately, ended up being injured 4 reps into the game. So did not get a good sample size of what the new Antonio Williams is going to be. But if he can end up being consistent, Arizona is the perfect landing spot for him. Very excited to see if he can end up reaching the potential that he has flashed. And number 17, the Bears go Jeremiah Love. Mr. 4 carries a game, apparently. I know, I think he got 10 touches. But dude just needs to chill on spamming the Y button. Hurdles way too many people. I know he thinks he's Ezekiel Elliott and all that. But, one of these times these guys are going to pick up on it. And it is just something you don't want to see because Jeremiah Love is a special athlete. You want to see him break more tackles. That was my biggest criticism of him coming into this year. I'm really hoping he just breaks more tackles, not avoids tackles, because NFL guys are just way better at disguising and understanding what they want to do. But Jeremiah Love needs way more touches. That's the thing. And I think he'd be a good fit for the Bears. At number 18, we have Denzel Boston going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He did a phenomenal job. Honestly, one of those players, once again, that I'm trying to understand and figure out how I can continue tweaking how I grade players. And one of the areas that I think I'm still growing in is understanding these bigger vertical receivers, because I'm very pessimistic against them. I like guys who can change directions a lot smoother, but Denzel Boston has done a phenomenal job. He's a very smooth athlete. I ended up saying he's a worse version of Tetero McMillan, and this would probably be a good range for that. So, Denzel Boston, I like the fit as well because Mike Evans probably not going to be there, and he's a damn good receiver. I do have some regrets about not liking Denzel Boston as much. Connor Lew, center out of Auburn, goes at 19 to the Vikings. I don't think interior offensive line is going to need to be a first-round need, but Connor Lew is a damn good player. Again, really good players in this class, super consistent. I have him more as a day 2 guy, but also I understand if you don't want to do that. Number 20, we have Mansour Delane, who's currently a 20 on my board, but will end up being noticeably higher. Huge fan of Mansour Delane. He was my corner 1 coming into the year after being one of my least favorite players last year at Virginia Tech. Very happy to have been able to hit the bullseye on that one. Again, I have shanked quite a few, but I've always remained honest. And so when I end up hitting a bullseye, I'm going to take a victory lap. Mansour Delane, love him to death. Great fit there in LSU. Do I think he is a blue chip corner? No. And I do think there's going to be this hype that ends up overvaluing him. But for the time being, I do think a mid-first is an absolutely adequate grade. 21, we have CJ Allen, linebacker out of Georgia, going to the Houston Texans. Big hitter. Definitely do not think he's a first-round pick. And I think D'Amico Ryans can do an excellent job finding good value at linebacker down the board. I feel like this would be a waste of a first-round pick, not because CJ Allen's bad, but because you have the ability, especially specifically for D'Amico Ryans, to find really good linebacker value. Stick to your strengths, overdraft areas where you're weak in, and then you can end up building a better roster. That's my thought process. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon, goes at number 22 to the Denver Broncos. This guy deserves to be a top 5 pick. Top 5 to 10. I mean, if Kyle Pitts goes at number 4, I don't think that Kenyon Sadiq should be far behind. He is a better blocker than Kyle Pitts. He is better after the catch than Kyle Pitts. Like, Kenyon Sadiq is an absolute super maniac. And, for me, it came into the year at number 17 on my board, and he looks even better this year. I mean, I know 1 reception for 20 yards and a touchdown, but the blocking looks so consistent. Now, yes, we need to see it versus a higher end team than Montana State, but this dude is freaking awesome. Huge fan of Kenyon Sadiq. Great fit there for Denver. LT Overton goes to the Bengals at 23. Edge rusher at Alabama. Fits the exact profile that the Bengals look for. Trey Hendrickson going to be gone after this year. I think this is going to happen, and honestly, a really good fit. I'm a huge fan. Number 24, we have the Washington Commanders going Caleb Lamu, tackle/guard, but I assume tackle out of Utah. We'll see about the arm length. I need to look at the statistics because I think we actually have them for him, but I mean, again, a really solid player. Looks a lot smaller, but that's just because this dude is just pure muscle. Very high floor tackle. And if he ends up being a guard, whoop-de-doo, this guy's just going to be a damn good player. And for Washington, that's never a bad thing. They're continuously investing in that offensive line. I just don't think it's the biggest need, but at the same time, if you get Caleb Lamu, who's a top 10 to 15 prospect for me, it's worth it. Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of Texas, goes to the Rams at number 25. I definitely think he has a lot of room to grow and develop. We'll see how that happens. I mean, 733 receiving yards last year. Amazing. Obviously, that's a typo again. CBS, come on. Like, I can make mistakes because I do it myself, but where's the editors at? But Anthony Hill Jr., the Rams don't value linebacker that early in the first place. Definitely think it's a little bit of a whiff. Xavier Chaplin goes to the Niners at number 26, left tackle out of Auburn. Dude's an absolute mauler. Definitely is going to be somebody who a lot of teams are getting excited about with 35-inch arms and, high-end pass blocking upside, but needs to work on that footwork. It is not pretty. Very, very heavy footwork as a pass protector. Number 27, we have the Cowboys via Green Bay. CJ Baxter, running back out of Texas. Do not like this pick. Did not see that from him. Just going to be honest. We'll see, though. I mean, again, I'm not going to grade CJ Baxter just yet, coming back from an injury. Definitely don't think he's coming out. But running back for the Cowboys, not a bad idea. Caleb Banks, defensive interior out of Florida, goes to the Lions at number 28. And it just kind of feels like we have too many cooks in the kitchen. The defensive interior room just getting Tyleik Williams, a first-round pick. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I'd prefer to try to target maybe some edge talent, or, you can end up even looking at the linebacker group if you want to. Sonny Styles, someone who I really, really like. Not the move for me there with Caleb Banks. 29, Chiefs. Mateo Uyunglele, edge rusher out of Oregon. Looked really solid first week, again, versus a pretty low-end team. And once again, CBS, come on, guys. But at the same time, he's a Spags type of edge. Really good technique. And excited to see him continue to grow and develop. Number 30, we had the Eagles going Christian Miller. Once again, a Georgia defensive player. But he is also a Georgia defensive player that I have at number 7. He's a freak athlete. Has his he's just pretty much everything except for like a top speed. So big fan of Christian Miller. Definitely somebody who would be amazing value at number 30 to replace Moro Jomo. At number 31, we have the Bills going Trevor Gooseby. I need to see a lot more from Gooseby, but he had a good start this year. I'm excited to be able to boost his grade. I don't think tackle is the area you need to improve, though. I would say there's a lot of other areas that I'd try to target maybe before that. Especially like a deep threat, because I like to talk shit. I might as well provide something of my own. Chris Bell out of Louisville would be really fun. And now at number 32, we have the Ravens going Tyreek Sapp, edge rusher out of Florida. Not a huge fan of that. You guys know what I think of Tyreek Sapp. I need to go check up on how he did, but again, against literally a nobody. So I'm waiting for him to have real competition. Excited to see whether he's going to take that step up, because that game versus Texas scared the shit out of me. And it would scare a lot of you guys too if you ended up seeing somebody that genuinely did not know what was going on when it was right in front of his face. But that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for supporting the show and showing the love that you always do. Love you. See you later. Peace.